Good afternoon, yat My name is Terry Yazzie. Don't nishlenigi not ot net kachid in the kot sonny bashes chinky ani. It dash nalt kurich ini dash check at the yadin nishlet or conchadol don the Khania Wonder Rock Museum. I am from Wonder Rock and I was told to give a presentation on jewelry and a little bit of arts and crafts here this afternoon. And the foundation of a lot of this attire and crafts that is being sold is reverberated back to ceremony, a blessing way, and some of the chant ways that are being done out there. One main one is the Kendalda, which is tied to a puberty way ceremony for the young girl, and she is adorned with the rug dress, the bracelets, the squash blossom, or yo, the beads, then the kensa, and her jat ol, and her tzigel, and she's adorned with the materialistic of Yoden is, and that signifies her or acknowledges her to the divinities, holy divinities, throughout the course of the ceremony. And she's blessed with all those materialistic goods from Yoden is during the all-night sing. So what I'm gonna talk about today is my first item is the yo. The yo is a design and an acknowledgement to the divinities that you will always be blessed. You will always have good knowledge and positive things coming your way. Old teachings say a lot of the teachings used to be older elder our folks would always sleep with this and never take it off, and get up the next day with it still on. They would always have that blessing every day going to the next day. It was just not for decoration. It was not just for showing that you got this piece on you. You were adorned with turquoise. It was an identification to the Digin, an acknowledgement. And that's why you go outside and you make offering, you make prayers, and you talk about your turquoise and your yolkoi and your dichitle and your bashini. And it's always tied to your livestock, your health, your money, wherever things that you have at home. In this day and age, you're tied to a lot of materialistic goods. Would be vehicles, maybe your education, where you're coming from, your land. This what this yo signifies. In old times, what they would say, they would always put it on clockwise, and that's how it went on. And going back to the beads, the yo, and it's very special. And when it broke, there was a ceremony to reattach the beads back together, and that's how special they were. When it broke, it breaks everything into your in your spirit, and then that's why they fix it through ceremony when they reattach the beads together. The yote, but yote, no coral. Your coral, I have a little piece of coral here, which is a collar pin. I always see turquoise with the maps where they come from, but the coral is from the sea. There's two types, two places where it originates. It's originated from the Gulf of Mexico and the Mediterranean Sea is where the coral comes from. It is scarce these days to get coral. It's hard to come by due to the coral reefs being destroyed. It's pricey and expensive. If you have a 20 strand or 15 strand coral necklace with the jack claw attached to it, made into a yawl, and you get that appraised, and that's worth a lot. Like I said, the two places where it comes from is the Gulf of Mexico and the Mediterranean Sea. And this day and age, it's tough to come by. So if you have a prize piece like that at home, keep it. Oh, cool. Your bow guard. This is a more modern type with designs and the turquoise that is made on it. Old designs would be just a regular leather bow guard, due to the fact that when you're out hunting, you would pull the bow string back so hard and you would let it go, then the line would clip your wrists and it would injure or cut your wrists. So what our old people did was find an old leather or made an old leather and they wrapped it around their wrists. And back then it had no design. It was just a leather wrist guard, and that's how they wore it. And up to now, you have a lot of designs and a lot of beautiful artwork on it these days. It signifies protection too when you're doing protection way ceremonies. Slates didigi oyo. This is a ceremonial bowl used in many ceremonies, and you boil your meats and your corn in a 5-night ceremony, due to the fact that in the big chantway ceremony, at the end of that ceremony, they tell you, the medicine man will tell you that some of the foods that he will take away from you and not to eat. And when you come back and have another ceremony done, and he'll tell you that we're going to go ahead and make some ceremonial food for you on the final night of the last morning, and they boil that all night, and this is what's used. And they usually mark this up with leishchi. And that food is taken in the morning, and that food that he took away, but the medicine man took away from you, is given back to you that morning. So it's restored into you. And there's a design on it. It's always facing east. There's an opening, just like the basket. And it signifies that you're not enclosing yourself. There's always a way out. And if it was closed off, and everything was going to close on you. And this is the Schlitz. There's another one that has the ceremonial tobacco, the pipe. They're made in that too. The mud is also special. The mud, where the mud is made, and it's fired. The Schlish, the practitioner would adorn the mud with corn pollen. And use that and tell the mud that this is going to be used for the ceremony, and what the ailments are. So there's your traditional your cups and your traditional bowls, then your tobacco pipes that are made with the shlish. So this is sacred goat. This is a ceremonial prayer bag, a Yei Bi Chei ceremonial prayer bag. Back in the day, there were just plain styles, regular leather, no designs on them. And I guess our people back then had no pockets at that time in our clothing, so they would put their ceremonial items, their corn pollen, their bullets, their anything that they would carry, they would put it in that pocket. So that was like a Navajo pocket back then. Nowadays we have pockets all over in our pants, front, back, and to the sides. We put our skull in it, and our whatever we're gonna put, our wallet, our money, it goes in there. So this was a traditional pocket, and it's not used. I use it for ceremonial Yei Bi Chei dancing, and I don't use it for song and dance. I see a lot of other didn't use it for song and dance, but I don't use it for that. I'll go with that. Dana easy. I was told to always wear a headband in the ceremony. So this is your cha. And I was told back in the day, in the 50s and 60s, during ceremonies, they would wear it to the right side, I hear. It was placed like this. And I will come back to you on the meaning of that. But nowadays, I see a lot of they wear it like this. The back side is tied to the back. Not the regular baseball cap or the cowboy hat. That's not the cha. And this is the Navajo cha. And this is a scarf, a headband that is worn in ceremonies. And I guess other people wear it for some other things, but I wear it for ceremony. Well, back to another piece here is a squash blossom, the upside down horseshoe. Yei is a sort of a flower, kind of a design at the bottom. Right here is a upside down horseshoe. It also signifies your yode, your songs and your prayers, and some of these are prized possessions. Your Yei. A lot of the young ladies or the women wear it nowadays, and it signifies them on how they're raised and where they're coming from, and how much where she represents her clan and who she's coming from, and this is what this is Yei and Oyu, and you can make that in coral and turquoise and different types of designs on it. And there's all sorts of designs, cluster, regular, coral, and turquoise, and obsidian, and Baheshone, and different types of styles these days. And these rings are sacred due to the fact that we're only allowed to wear it on the 3 fingers here. From the middle to your pinky is where you're allowed to wear your ring fingers. Yei Bi Chei tell us not to wear it on your pointer or your thumb, due to the fact that it is calling death to yourself. And I hear stories of the dead being put away with their rings on their pointer or your thumb fingers. So, and your hands, your fingers represents Balashla. That's why, you don't wear it on your fingers or your thumbs. And when you're gonna put your deceased away, and that's when they put the rings on their pointer finger. But a lot of that is drawn off nowadays. I'll see a lot of young kids wearing it on their pointer and their thumbs, the rings, and this is some sort of education. Maybe you can this can get out, and we can teach them and tell them not to, sort of give some education on them. And your bracelet, latsana, the olia latsana. Latsinadiya, Oyudalya. The old styles were more of sand casts. They were heavy. The gauge were heavier than what they are presently. They were heavy and they were sand casted because there's always a way out. Like I said before, like the Navajo basket, you have to have a way out. There's an opening when you're coming in and you go back out. There's that opening. You can go out that way, and that's why there's openings in these bracelets. There's little designs in them. The sand casted ones are bigger holes, and their gauges are tougher and they're heavy. A lot of the bracelets nowadays are thinner gauges, and not as tough as they used to be a while back. Your male and your female moccasins. These are the pair I use. I have one set of pair, which is made from cow fat, which is the sole, and the regular cow skin from the cow, and it's stitched. The older type of kelche were made. The stitches are tougher from the front to the back, and the stitches are different again from the heel to the mid side, and that's what I was told. And this is your kelche. Before the kelche was yucca shoes, which were made out of yucca, the yucca plant. And the smaller ones, and those shoes were pre-treaty and were made for footwear back then. And after the treaty, before the treaty was signed, the Treaty of 1868, and these were brought out. And these are special in ceremony, not for show again. In ceremony they put corn pollen in it, and you put your foot back in it, and you're blessed. And that's why they say you don't let anybody else wear your moccasins, because you're adorned, you're tied to the shoes, which is your footprint. From the day you're born and until the day you leave. Kelche arodi kensa female. A lot of these are made thick with buckskin, and it's wrapped thick around the shins. The same way the stitches are tough from in and around the toe to the mid part. They're stitched so tough it won't break. And again, it's made from cow fat and your calf hide, and the buckskin is stitched on to the ankles. In the kensaws, you would store your knives and your weapons in here, and when the soldiers were coming and somebody was going to attack your family, and the females would put their knives or whatever the types of weapon they were going to use in it, and they would hide it, and maybe you could put your money or something in it nowadays, and there's a lot of teachings with this one. A lot of the younger kids nowadays are wearing it where you're tucking in your pants into the buckskin, and a lot of the masanas are saying, you're not supposed to wear it like that. It's not for fashion. It's for ceremony, and that's why you're supposed to wear a skirt, because you represent the female, and it shouldn't be wore that way. But like I said, a lot of that's drawn off, and we're not stern about it. About this ceremonial footwear here. Kensa. And your the which is made out of sumac, and it's stitched counterclockwise, and some of the tsese is cut up and they stitched it together, and it's stitched all the way around. Like I said, it has an opening here, like this lates up. So there's an opening, just like the Hogan here. There's an opening up there, and there's an opening on the east side of the door. So of this Hogan, so it represents that there's opening. It has to have an opening. You can't close yourself off, and if you do that, a lot of negative things come and hurt you that way. So this is also used as a basket, a drum, into some of the major chantways, 5 nights and 9 nights, and they turn that over and they call it Sayaniti, and it's used in as a drum. Concho belt. You know, there's this is the sort of an older style concho belt, is sand casted. You know, there's different types. Some of them are bigger gauge, thinner. Some of them are older style, which are a little more expensive nowadays. Some of them are have obsidian, Baheshone, and Iji as their stones in them. And this is a sand casted belt sis, and this is part of the Yode that's tied to you, and it's a blessing to have this on. And like I said, there's holes in these. You know, you have to have an opening. And all the jewelry that you're wearing has to have an opening, so you won't close yourself in. And DA basis ogi, your arrowhead here is used during protection prayers and blessing ways, and the male holds it to the left side during a protection prayer to draw off all the evil and push that evil away to the north. And this is what this is for, you know, arrowhead basis ogi. And 2 items that I wanted to talk about that are not here is your war cap, the Navajo war cap. I always see a lot of these young kids wear it. You know, it has like a beanie. It's has the 2 turkey feathers drawn off, and that's a war cap. There's stories about that, stating that you're only supposed to wear that cap after a 5-night ceremony, and when you're going to war, and that's the only time you're supposed to wear that cap. And these days, there's a lot of young children wearing that cap, and I feel that it's scarce, and that causes PTSD, depression, you know, and anxiety, fear. And the second one is your arrowhead, your necklace. A lot of people wear this and tie a necklace or a string around it, and they make a necklace and they put that around your neck. That's another story too. You know, you're not supposed to wear that. Just wear it as for show, or you put it on your body due to the fact that you're going to war and you're going against the enemy. So, you know, when you put that, you know, there's a lot of negativity that's gonna come your way. So maybe you don't wear those 2 items. And your jadol, I didn't see any jadol here. Your earrings, there's I hear about the piercings you're supposed to have on your body. You're not supposed to pierce yourself, not more than once or twice. Any more piercings, you're doing harm to your body and your spirit. So that's why a lot of practitioners or people would pierce one side of their ear, either which way, and their jadol goes on it. If it's both sides, then it's both sides. There's the jack claw is worn on both sides, or whatever types of cluster earrings they have is also adorned to an acknowledgement to the divinities that you're signifying yourself, you know, your clan and who you are, and you're getting a good blessing from them, and that's why you wear those jadol. And I think a lot of the older silversmithing came after pre-treaty, a little bit after pre-treaty, and after post-treaty. After the Treaty of 1868, it came. A lot of our people didn't know, and they did it for as a hobby. You know, they didn't have anything to do way back. So they got into silversmithing, and it started to build from there, and it got to the point where it was a money maker. And some of the stuff that they used to make would be the big money coins with the quarters and the half dollars, and some of that jewelry is made on that. So a lot of the stuff that is from the previous years back was the heavy gauges, the thicker and tougher gauges on silver. And these days they're a lot of thinner and not tough as they used to be. And there's your blanket. I didn't get to your your male blanket, your Pendleton robe, and your female robe, the thinner, the light ones. These are more modern, and the older types were woven. They were woven as a rug right here, as a rug like this. It was stitched. And that was used as a belte. Real tough, and it lasted a long time. So what the Lagana traders did is saw what we were using as our belte, and they copied it and made it imitation of the Pendleton robe, and it progressed into this, and what it is now is your standard male and female Pendleton robes. And another type of belte was your buffalo hide, which was used as a bedding and a cover, that was thicker, and you kept warm during the winter using the buffalo hide, and that was more effective to stay warm. You know, it was thick, tough, and that's one reason is one of the blankets that was used. It was the buffalo hide, the Navajo rug, and the buckskin. A deer buckskin was used too. Those were the older styles. Now they're more thinner. They're more for, I guess, it changed, and now they're more modern, and you could get them with at arts and crafts. They're male and female. Like I said, there's the thinner and the thick. You know, there's the Pendleton robes is your materialistic. So all the stuff that I went through here is signifies you through the ceremonial ways, you know, of Hojonja. And a lot of these are, you put this on when you're in ceremony. So, and like I said, it signifies you to the divinities, you know, where you're going, where you're coming from, who you represent, your clans, and how far you're going to go in life, you know. And some of these have a lot of teachings behind it, little teachings that you can pass on to your kids, and what shouldn't and what should be, you know. And a lot of us are not doing that, you know. We just put this on and think we're going to pretty ourselves, but you know, it's not for that. You know, you are a dineh, you're blessed from changing woman and the holy divinities. So a lot of these jewelry comes from that, and signifies you to Hash'e and Hash'e. But yeah, this is what I wanted to present today to my maybe our people who are going to see this video, and they can acknowledge some of the stuff that they have. You know, it really evolves to ceremonies and ceremonial ways of life with our people. You know, this is not something that you can just put on and walk out the door. You know, and a lot of us don't think about those things that way presently, and and some of the stuff that are passed on from our grandmas and grandpas, we're losing that, and we have to reverberate back to what they taught and what is now, and going forth, and how we can teach a little bit of the older teachings and teach it back to the younger youth in this day and age. Thank you so much.